Hi, everyone. Just going to wait a few minutes. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Let me know if you're watching. Drop an emoji. Hi, friend. So good to see you. Oh, exciting to start the day with you. Well, for people who don't know me, my name is Opulence. I'm a conflict navigator. Oh, hi, friends. I was just inviting people to drop an emoji in the chat to let me know they're here. My name is Opulence. I'm a conflict navigator, a communicator, and a really passionate facilitator. And I'm so excited to start our morning together. And I think we should just start by taking 3 breaths. It can be at your own pace. I'm loving the emojis in the chat. These are amazing. Thank you for breathing with me. There is this breath I want to do with you all that it's a little bit of a wild card. Okay. I've been studying different types of breath work and I'm obsessed with this type of breath. So, you can take our hands if you're able to, if you're not driving. And if you are driving, don't worry, this part will be over soon. We're gonna put our pinky under our lip, our other finger, I guess this is the ring finger, over our top lip, just resting gently. I have to take off my glasses for this. These other 2 fingers are going to rest gently on our eyelids, okay? You have to keep looking at me, so don't do it yet. So it'll look like this. And then the thumbs are going to fold our ears closed with our hands, okay? So we'll do it all together. Folding the ears closed, gentle fingers on the eyelids. And we're going to take a gentle inhale, or like a big inhale in, and then we're going to hum out, okay? And it'll feel silly, but it's the best. So let's do it all together. Gentle fingers, folding those earlobes up so they cover your ear, inhaling and releasing. Let's just do it one more time. Inhaling and releasing. Wow. I hope that was great for you all, as great as it was for me. So today I'm going to be reading a little of bell hooks and sharing what I've been learning in my EMDR training. And I want to start by reading the bell hooks. And so this is from All About Love. I love this passage. Commitment to truth telling lays the groundwork for the openness and honesty that is the heartbeat of love. When we can see ourselves as we truly are and accept ourselves, we build the necessary foundation for self-love. We have all heard the maxim, if you do not love yourself, you will be unable to love anyone else. It sounds good, yet more often than not, we feel some degree of confusion when we hear this statement. The confusion arises because most people who think that they are not lovable have this perception because at some point in their lives, they were socialized to see themselves as unlovable by forces outside their control. We are not born knowing how to love anyone, either ourselves or somebody else. However, we are born able to respond to care. As we grow, we can give and receive attention, affection, and joy. Whether we learn how to love ourselves and others will depend on the presence of a loving environment. If any of this is resonating, drop an emoji, okay? This is some potent stuff. Self love cannot flourish in isolation. It is no easy task to be self loving. Simple axioms that make self love sound easy only make matters worse. It leaves many people wondering why, if it is so easy, they continue to be trapped by feelings of low self esteem or self hatred. Using a working definition of love that tells us it is the action we take on behalf of our own or another's spiritual growth provides us with a beginning blueprint for working on the issue of self love. When we see love as a combination of trust, commitment, care, respect, knowledge, and responsibility, we can work on developing these qualities, or if they are already a part of who we are, we can learn to extend them to ourselves. Many people find it helpful to critically examine the past, particularly childhood, to chart their internalization of messages that they were not worthy, not enough, that they were crazy, stupid, monstrous, and so on. Simply learning how we have acquired feelings of worthlessness rarely enable us to change things. It is usually only one stage in the process. I, like so many other people, have found it useful to examine negative thinking and behavioral patterns learned in childhood, particularly those shaping my sense of self and identity. However, this process alone did not ensure self recovery. It was not enough. I share this because it is far too easy to stay stuck in simply describing, telling one's story over and over again, which can be a way of holding on to grief about the past or holding on to a narrative that places blame on others. While it is important for us to understand the origins of fragile self esteem, it is also possible to bypass the stage, identifying when and where we received negative socialization, and still create a foundation for building self love. Individuals who bypass the stage tend to move on to the next stage, which is actually actively introducing to our lives constructive, life affirming thought patterns and behaviors. Whether a person remembers the details of being abused is not important. When the consequence of that abuse is a feeling of worthlessness, they can still engage in the process of self recovery by finding ways to affirm self worth. I love that passage. So beautiful. I love the way that Bell Hooks talks about love as a recipe. Love is created by love, trust, commitment, care, responsibility, and respect. I think that's incredibly beautiful. I also appreciate Bell Hooks speaking to how we are able to trust and love others and how we don't have to remember everything and heal everything um, to have healthy, loving relationships. And I think that this ties in really beautifully to the EMDR training that I'm in. As many of you know, I'm in an EMDR training, and many of you are so excited about it because we know that EMDR has the possibility to offer deep healing for trauma. Because as Bell Hooks says, it can be very difficult to feel love and to heal, and the world acts like it's so easy. It kind of reminds me of like when people tell little kids like you're okay. And it's sort of like if I'm okay, why do I feel this big feeling? I think we definitely live in a culture that is scared of feelings. I think we're collectively scared of feelings because it can be difficult to know how to manage them, especially difficult feelings. And I think the more that we avoid feeling them, the bigger the feelings get. And I think one of the secrets to like managing our feelings is to feel them. We have to turn towards them. But without real coping skills on like, I don't know, and experiences of feeling your feelings and having things be okay, it can be really scary to turn towards them and at times unsafe. But a coping skill is a way that we consciously choose to respond to stress. And it can be, it can be anything. A coping skill can be a cigarette, right? Um, and I think that if a coping skill is good or bad is more if it's healthy or unhealthy for you. And it just really depends on your goals. All that to say, the reason why I think EMDR is exciting is that it can allow us to release some of the thought patterns, and deeper than the thought patterns, can allow us to release tension from our bodies that we may be holding from past experiences. And that is really exciting. So that we can move on. We can move on and we can live our lives and have new experiences. So let's take a breath. That was a lot of information. Thank you, Bell Hooks, for being with us today. Welcome, new people. Feel free to drop an emoji. And we're actually about to go to Hello Kitty University. Oh, thank you for being here, Drew. I really appreciate you. So, in this EMDR training, I know that many of us may have heard the language of activation. I'm triggered. We maybe know about fight, flight, freeze, right? And in this training, I'm learning a more nuanced version of activation through polyvagal theory. And some of this I knew, some of this you might know, because I've just been trying to figure it out. I think a lot of us who have, trauma, and I don't know what human doesn't, we are just trying to figure it out because we want to feel better. And I think a huge, huge light bulb that went off for me during this most recent batch of training, and I'm actually a little behind. I have to pick up, I have to catch up this weekend. But anyways, a huge thing I learned is that there's this thing called hypoarousal. And so if you think about, okay, um, if you think about a gazelle, a gazelle hanging out with its family, just chewing some grass, and then a lion shows up and everyone starts running, okay? Um, and then the lion catches the gazelle. So the gazelle, when everyone's running and then the lion starts honing in on the gazelle, that gazelle is going to be activated. It's going to be in its flight, right? And its body heart racing, adrenaline. It's going to feel superpower so fast, like hyper speed. Okay. The second that lion catches the gazelle, its heart rate is going to drop, and it's going to drop. So it's going to, when the lion was chasing the gazelle entered what's called hyper arousal. Welcome, Prentice. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, hi, Stephanie. Feel free, if you just joined, to add a little emoji. But so when the gazelle is running, it's in hyper arousal. And then when the gazelle is caught, it's going to drop into what they call hypoarousal. And what hypoarousal can look like is limp body, decreased heart rate, extreme fatigue, numbness. And literally, the gazelle's body is shutting down its nervous system, limiting sensation, and creating deep fatigue so that if this gazelle dies, it's not as painful. Like, that's pretty wild. And all of us, okay, so the part of our brain that does this is the reptile brain. So gazelles have it, we have it. A lot of us, if this is our brain, right? This is like the spinal cord, this is the brainstem, this is our reptile brain. Most animals have this spinal cord with this reptile brain that will cause these reactions. So, yeah, I think the big insight I had was that I think me and my peers might be in a chronic hypoarousal. and we might be mistaking it for burnout. So if that might be you, well, just take a breath. Just take a breath, okay? And I made this chart, this Hello Kitty University chart, to kind of share what I was talking about. Let me share it with you all. Did I do it right? Okay, it's a little backwards. But we have this thing called the window of tolerance. So if we think of that gazelle, they're just here, they're chilling with their family, they hear noise, but nobody's running, everything's fine. So they'll come back down. Maybe they hear a really big noise and get freaked out. And then they come up, they start to escalate, but then it goes away. So some of us can have a threat, and the threat, we never go through the cycle of the threats here. We come all the way up and then we self regulate. Or even we come up all the way up, we go all the way down, and then we do some, the gazelle, let's say the lion catches them, and then they're like, and then the lion leaves them alone. They leave this little antelope alone. That antelope is going to come out of that hypoarousal and return to the window of tolerance. But before they return, there's going to be some sort of somatic intervention. Like the gazelle will like shake it off, and that'll help process all the adrenaline. Because like literally our bodies are filled with chemicals and we have to process the adrenaline. So I just thought this was super fascinating. I think a lot of us do, whether it's that activation builds and it never releases. So we're in this constant hypervigilance and we never get to play out the cycle and return to our baseline. Or if we played out some of the cycle, we started in our window of tolerance, we escalated to a fight or flight, then we went all the way to hypo, and then we might be feeling like we've recovered, but we never fully recover. So this chart's not really working. But we can feel like an event is over, but we're not actually regulated. And so I think that's where the somatic interventions are so, so powerful. And that is where I will take us to next. So this intervention is super simple. And a part of what, like when I say intervention and we talk about somatics, there's both things you can do to bring yourself out of something stressful and to return to your baseline. And those can be things like shaking, somatic expression, and ultimately EMDR is reliving traumatic experiences, but allowing for a somatic expression, because a lot of us will go through an experience and repress our fight response or what our body is feeling because we're focused on survival. And that, like, if you think of our nervous system, so when we use polyvagal theory, we're talking about the vagus nerve, which is this nerve, I think it's like the size of the thumb, and it like goes through our face. It touches our eyes, ears, nose. It goes down. It touches our heart, our lungs, and to our stomach. Oh, thank you for this question, Drew. The F stands for faux, a faux window of tolerance. So it seems like we're in our window of tolerance, but actually we're not. We're actually like, we're close to coming down, but we're pretending. So not necessarily that we're pretending, but we're still in a state of activation. When we think of our vagus nerve running through our body, I think it's so beautiful to think of it as a river. And they talk about how when we don't regulate after traumatic events, it creates like blocks in the river. And some of that's life and it's natural and it's okay. But we want to be able to clear the rocks, we want to be able to feel that like life flow through us. So that's kind of the purpose of EMDR. One way that we can, so there's exercises you do to regulate, but then there's also exercises to tone your vagus nerve and to increase your window of tolerance. And one of those exercises is actually ear massages. So I just welcome you with me in the last few minutes of this live just to kind of feel your ears, just to give them a gentle rub and massage. And doing this humming, singing, face massage, all these things can help tone, activate our vagus nerve, and allow it to be stronger and more nuanced. Okay, I hope you learned something with me today. Thank you for coming. I hope you're feeling a little more grounded, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all. Bye.